Today on the Chat and Chew Show.
I told her I have fibroids, I may have a surgery, and I may not be able to have children, but I thought it would be the result of losing my uterus.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Roxanne, and today we're making some good Gouda grits.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Chat and Chew Show. Hi. We are super thrilled. That surprised me. Hi. I didn't know, like, who is that? What is going on here? I'm acting as if there's never a person sitting on my... Anyway, welcome to the Chat and Chew Show. We are a show designed to empower you to do relationships better. And we say every episode, everybody's in a relationship. You are either a mom or, I was gonna say son, but yes, you can be a son.
You can be a son.
Why do I always call out girls' names? I always say mom, auntie, but you could be in any relationship. You could
Or
be
a nephew.
A nephew.
You could be an uncle.
You could be an uncle. That's a granddad.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's
wow,
keep going down the list.
A great-granddad.
A great-great-granddad. Like, try to top Roxy on the good. So our intention is to empower you to do your relationships better. And if we're honest, we will say that sometimes relationships can be super, super tough to navigate through. And so we want to give you tips and tools and tricks and help you to navigate through your relationships while you laugh along the way. I don't even know what that was either.
That was a demonstration.
Okay, of how to laugh.
How to
So good. So Vanessa, our producer's like, this is going south real quick. Can't help it, Vanessa. We're just keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Good, good. Well, today's topic is going to be pretty, I don't know, heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
For you guys who are out there and you are at a stage of life where you are wanting to have a baby, we have a special guest with us today who's going to talk about her book and then her journey, and I think it's going to be really, really good. So you want to hang on. But I have 3 children. My son is 24, and I'm caring for my great-nephews, and they drive me crazy. No, like for real. They are twin boys, 6 years old, and they joined our family when they were 3 months old. But before Kalen, my son, who's 24, was born, I was pregnant a year before he was born. And I had a baby, and I will never forget this. I was at work that day, and I had to go to my regular doctor's appointment. And I had this shirt on that says, "Baby here." Right, at work, and my doctor's appointment was in the middle of the day, so I went to my doctor's appointment, and they couldn't find the heartbeat. And so my doctor assured me, you don't need to be alarmed or anything like that. Let's just go have an ultrasound. Back then, you had to go to the hospital to do ultrasound. And I go there, and we found out there that we lost the baby. And it was really tough to go through that. Like, I can't even put words to it. And some good friends of ours, really good friends of ours, said they didn't say too much anything other than, y'all just come with us. Just the same day, just come with us. They had just had a brand new baby. And so I'm looking at her with her brand new baby. They just said, just come with us. They took us to a park. They laid out a blanket, and they just let us hold their baby. They didn't say, God's doing this for a reason. They didn't say things happen. They didn't say, well, y'all should have. Well, they didn't say anything. They just let us hold their baby. And I can't tell you how healing that was for our family to go through that. It was really, really tough. My husband, this is funny now, because the moment we found out that we had lost the baby, he went to a car dealership literally the same day to try to buy a car. Because I guess in his mind, he's thinking that I need something that's gonna fill this up. So, so today's show is gonna be, I think it's gonna be heart-wrenching in that if you're there, I feel you. But I think that we have some good news for you. So you wanna hang on, because this is gonna be a great show.
everybody, welcome back. So it's myself and Betty here, and we have this other person in the middle, a special guest, Miss Dafnette Jones.
Hello.
And actually it's Pastor Dafnette Jones, right?
Now, yes.
Now, I'm putting her on the spot here. But not only is she a pastor, but she's also an author. In her book, The Waiting Room, I'm just going to show it.
Nice.
This lovely cover, I just had to show it.
Yeah.
But can you tell us, Dafnette, first a little bit about yourself, because we're talking about kids, and do you have children?
Yes, I do now.
Oh.
My husband Jermaine and I, we have a 3-year-old miracle daughter, Jalea.
Miracle daughter. And so is that what The Waiting Room is about, as well as having kids and everything?
Well, it tells my story. Many people think this is my story of how Jalea came, but actually this is something I wrote while in the waiting room, knowing how it will unfold. Fast forwarding a little, but I'll tell you more about what's in the book. Right after it went to print, I found out that my prayer for over a decade had been answered.
Oh my!
Over a decade.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yes, yes.
I'm excited about this because I don't have any children, and so I'm always surrounded, especially at my age, with people who have kids. And I just look and I'm like, oh, look at you.
So Roxy, do you want to have children?
I do.
You do.
I actually do.
Okay.
And I joke and say I just need a donor, but
No, you want more than that. Life will
but
be.
no, I do want children. But I have, because it's just like, because I'm single and I'm like still trying to find the right person and all that. I just have that, like, I'm just kind of open-minded to, okay, is that even something that I'm supposed to have, especially at my age and everything. So it's one day I'm like hopeful, and the next day I'm like, maybe I'm just not supposed to have it.
Aww.
And I just go on about my life. So I go up and down with it. But if I am honest, I do definitely want to have children. So this is interesting to me because you say 10 years, and I'm like, oh. So can you tell me about that, and when you, I guess, first decided that you wanted to have children, and then how that kind of unfolded for you?
Okay, well, I knew I wanted to be married and have kids since a youth. I went to college, one of my MRS, did not get it, by the way, but eventually it came. But I always wanted to be married with children. I even wanted 5 kids.
Wow.
Something to do with Claire Huxtable, who knows? That would be too. So for a long time, I knew I wanted to have children, but my fertility journey actually started 9 months after my husband and I got married. I found I was in the hospital. It's not for the reason most think, like, oh, you had a baby. But no, I was actually going into the hospital for a open myomectomy, and that's a surgery to remove uterine fibroids.
Oh,
It
yeah.
happened to be our first Christmas as husband and wife. So before getting married, we knew I had fibroids. My husband knew, and I even told him before he even proposed to me, like, hey, I have these things, so we may not have children. But I thought the reason would be I'd have a surgery and
Wait a
lose
minute,
my
you
uterus.
that's how you said it. I have these
broke it
things.
down, but I told him what it was.
I have these things.
I told him I have fibroids, I may have a surgery, and I may not be able to have children, but I thought it would be the result of losing my uterus during a surgery. That was just my
okay.
understanding, but I learned so much more afterwards that it can complicate fertility with a uterus. And so I had the surgery to remove my fibroids. Then, I was okay not being pregnant after 9 months. We were enjoying marriage, but the implications of what that surgery meant were just on our hearts. Our prayer was, Lord, let me wake up with a uterus, and God answered that prayer. I had my uterus. So then, of course, fertility is on the forefront of our minds. So we're waiting. The doctor said wait a year before trying. It was actually during that year that I was reading over the summer. I was an educator, and so that was the first summer I took off no summer camps. I didn't do PD that summer. I was like, I'm taking a break. That's all my life. Summer's Parsons College. And so I remember I was reading through scripture. I was reading the Old Testament, and I continued past my stopping point for the day. And I read in 2 Kings chapter 4 about the Shunammite woman, Elisha, and his servant Gehazi. They stayed in her house. She'd been hospitable. And Elisha's like, what can we do for this woman? And Gehazi's like, she has no children. Her husband is older in age. And it's like, okay. So he tells her, this time next year you're going to have a baby. And I could never recall reading that story. So I felt in that moment, I wasn't looking for any confirmation from God that I was going to have a child, but it's the way God just speaks through his scriptures, like, I see you. You're going to be a mom. So I held on to that. So of course I'm like, she had a baby in a year. So I'm thinking,
let me start buying baby clothes.
A year came and went. I'm not having a child. 5 years too, and in that time, like, I'm celebrating births. My younger siblings are having children before me, co-workers.
So do you mind telling us, because your book is called The Waiting Room.
Yes.
So how are you really feeling? Like,
And this book tells all of that.
Okay.
So I journal to process things, and I always wanted to write. And so I would just journal these thoughts. I'm like, it may be a book. And I'm like, the Lord's like, it needs to be a book. So I start writing, and that's the title, The Waiting Room, like how it felt in the waiting room. So I chronicle the sense of hopelessness and patience, the frustration with God, and how even I had to reverence him when I'm really upset. I talk about some moments where I'm like, now God, did you really have to rub salt into that wound today? So I talk about how I navigate some of those feelings. I talk about even, as she mentioned, I'm a pastor. So we're in church leadership. You're ministering to growing families, their baby dedication. So even having to push through that, knowing my husband and I are going through these things, I still need to show up. I was on the praise team, and I'm singing, about the promises of God. So just pushing through that, insensitive comments, or people asking more than they need to ask.
So tell us some of the things that maybe someone was asking you that you thought, this is just too much. This is too personal.
Right. One thing comes to mind. We were somewhere and someone asked if we had children, and the answer was no. It's like, why not? Like, with someone, how dare you ask me that? That's one of those moments that by that time in our journey, those are like fighting words. I may tell where I'm from. And so my husband, God, he just like intercepted there, because by then I'm like, how dare you ask me that? So things like that, and it just some people, they just wouldn't think like, oh, there have been times, what are you waiting for? I've had those moments, like, because at one point in time I went to seminary. I was not delaying my family to go get another degree. It was like, and then in the waiting room I talk about how to thrive in every season, how you can still be fruitful. That was me living my life and still growing and doing what God called me to do, while there's this burden in my heart for a child, but I'm not putting my life on pause.
We talked right before we start taping too, that sometimes when women are going through this or wanting to have a child, they feel less than a woman. They don't feel like they are a woman. So were there times in your life when you can say, I didn't really feel like, now how can you not be a woman, but you didn't feel like a woman? Were there times that you felt that too?
Most definitely, because like, this is what my body was designed to do, to produce children, and it's not. And then you get into that comparison trap where you're around people who are being fruitful, quote unquote, and multiplying through their womb. And so it's like, Lord, and then again he take me to scriptures like Psalm 139, like I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and how he knew me before I was born. He knew all the days. So I'm like, this didn't catch him off guard. And even in me not bearing children, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So just having to navigate that and encouraging other women too, because the devil, he will put those lies in you. Some people may even say that, but you're still a woman, and we live on a broken world where there are other illnesses and sicknesses. That doesn't make people less human because they're battling with this illness. This is just the illness I had to deal with.
How was your husband during the journey? I mean, I know the book is about you and all that, but was your husband still like, it's gonna be all right, or was he silent? Some people process pain differently. So would you say that during the 10 years that he
it wavered. Sometimes he was the strong one, encouraging me it's okay. Sometimes he didn't know what to say, and I even talk about it here. And even him as a pastor, or like even we were committed to sexual purity. So thoughts like, well, why'd we wait? Like, why? Like,
He's like, why we pause? Why we wait?
you know, like, 'cause you're like,
That's
God,
good.
I was over. It's that kind of, I hate to say, but sometimes we as believers, we can feel entitled.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, I obeyed you.
Right.
Right.
I was gonna say, like, it's funny.
Yeah.
But you feel like, okay, why did I pay this cost if you
Mhm.
weren't going to reward me with
Yeah.
that at the end?
Yeah.
And so, and I think about also timing, because you said, like, you read that story and it was like, in a year's time, you'll have and, you know, and people like to say stuff, well, you know, baby, God's time is not our time.
Right.
And all those sayings. But seriously, how did you deal with the time? And was there a point where you had to let go of your own timetable, considering, like, you know, how long it took you in the waiting room?
Once the year passed, I had to let that go.
So the years are okay. That's done now.
This year, that's like people like milestone moments or the holidays. They used to be a big thing for me now. This year, was it 2019? I started something called Holiday Cheer just because I know how the holidays were for me, and there would be those moments of hopefulness, like, oh, it's the season of miracles. My cycle's late. I think somebody broke it down for me recently, like how many periods or cycle I had to wait. I was like, that was like a really long time because there were that many opportunities to be pregnant over 10 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, and then your cycle shows up, you know, pardon me if it's too graphic for
No,
something.
no.
And so like on Christmas Eve, you're like, really? Yeah, so it was tough.
Yeah. Wow. That is really tough. I can just imagine if you're listening and you're struggling, you could feel this, and you may be there right now, but there is hope. So we're going to take a short break, and then we come back. Dafnette's going to give us some tips and some things that you can maybe consider to do if you're in this season of your life right now.
Now, a delicious word. Let's chew.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Roxanne, and today we're making some good Gouda grits. Gouda grits are pretty much the same as cheesy cheddar grits, but we're just going to use some Gouda cheese. So we're going to get started by making our grits, and you can follow the instructions on any grits package that you get to make your grits. I would just recommend not using instant grits for this. So I made my stovetop grits with some water, bringing that to a boil with like a little bit of salt in that. And then I added my grits to the water, turned it on low, covered it up, and then stirred it periodically to keep the grits from sticking to the bottom of the pot. You can also use milk in place of the water as your base, and that will give you a creamier grit. I'm just not using that as I try to stay away from milk when I can. So once our grits are done, and that can take about 20 minutes or so, we're going to actually now add our Gouda cheese in, and we're also going to add butter, because why would you not add butter to things? So we're going to add, I'm going to be actually heavy-handed with my Gouda cheese because I love the flavor of Gouda cheese, and I just want that to really kind of take over my grits. And then also I'm going to be a little bit heavy-handed with my butter, because that also is adding a counter flavor, if you will, and it's giving me my salt, it's giving me just that, I hate to say oily, but you know, that buttery taste. So I'm going to be heavy-handed with those two things and pretty much flavor the entire pot with those two things. But where I'm going to be light-handed is with my salt. So I want to do these two things first because there's salt in the butter, there's salt in our cheese, and so we don't want to have like overly salty grits. So I'm going to do those things first and then taste it to see where we are with that, and then lightly sprinkle salt as needed into the pot as well. And so once that's all flavored, I'm going to plate it. I'm going to plate it, go ahead and put it in my bowl. And once I have that in my bowl, I'm going to add some add chives, which are like our green onions, and then also some fresh ground pepper on top, just because those just add a little extra oomph to the flavor. And it gives it that more savory taste, and then the chives add a little crunch as well as you're eating the grits. So I'm going to add those two things, and pretty much my dish is good to go now. So you won't get that like cheesy, you know, how sometimes there's a whole layer of cheddar cheese baked on top of the grits and that kind of thing. It's not that kind of dish where you see the cheese pulling away and all that, but it will be packed with flavor when you're eating that grit, and you won't really need to add anything once you're done making it. And it's pretty filling on its own. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. All right. Until next time.
All right, well, welcome back. I always say, wasn't that delicious?
It wasn't that cooked. Oh my God.
We're gonna post the recipe for you guys, so then you'll be able to see what it is. But oh man, that Roxanne sure can cook. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. So welcome back. We have our special guest, Dafnette Jones, and she's telling us her story. The book that she wrote is called The Waiting Room, and you can find it anywhere. Amazon.
Yeah. So, and Betty, I'm actually going to read an excerpt from the book.
Oh, okay.
So, in the waiting room, in the waiting room, you say, although I have a desired outcome, I do not fully know how my waiting room account ends, nor can I control the ending. Meanwhile, God has given me numerous chapters to steward. In writing this book and continuing in vocational ministry and preserving friendships, in rejoicing with others, and in helping others amid my own sorrow, I make the most of what's in my hand. No matter the outcome of my fertility journey, it can never be said that I failed to bear fruit.
Wow.
That's such a
That's
powerful,
powerful. That's so good.
like place of enlightenment to come to. How did you get there? You know, yeah. As I still kind of soak it in.
No.
How did you get there?
Introspection and writing. Like I process and I commune with God through writing. I enjoy writing. So yes, it was a process to actually get there. Some days even writing the book was difficult because I was living it and going through it. So sometimes I didn't feel like writing. And then there's also that understanding as a believer in Christ, there is truth. Truth sometimes I don't want to embrace, or it's difficult to embrace, but as I yield to the truth of who God is and his sovereignty, it helps me to better process and accept where I am and to leave the outcomes to him without ignoring my true feelings. And I think that's something I would encourage people to do, is acknowledge your feelings. Own them.
That's
good. I think God is big enough for us to say, I'm mad at you because of this, right? And because I think what a lot of people already have this misconception, like God is our genie and we're supposed to just rub him the right way and then he'll grant everything, but God is God. And to be able to accept that he wants the best for us and to be able to trust and surrender. But being able still to say, this hurt.
Yeah, this is how I feel about it.
This is how I feel about it.
Instead of like, because I think sometimes we get encouragement and say, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just keep going and have faith. And we think that means that we have to shut off how we're feeling and just move on with life. And that's not it. You acknowledge it and note that it's there, but then also, in addition to, realize these other things.
I think what you said, I'm sorry, was so powerful is like, what's in my hand?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know, what's in my hand, because you can, maybe you're not a mom yet, but you can be an auntie or you could be a mentor. Or what's in your hand, you know?
Right.
That was huge.
And that was the part of reason for the subtitle, The Waiting Room, Choosing to Thrive While Life Hurts. It's recognition that life hurts, but I still can choose to thrive even when it hurts.
Wow.
That's huge. So what would be, Vanessa, our producer's back there just crying and choked up. So there are families who are listening to us who are going through this right now. Is there some words of encouragement that you can give some people that they can, some practical things that they can do like in life to be able to manage and thrive during this season?
So I probably wouldn't be silent about what I'm going through.
It's good.
Try to find people you trust, some who may be in your similar situation, then some who aren't, who can cover you in prayer. That was helpful for me to see people who are moms actually shed a tear on my behalf. I'm like, I'll cry. And when you see that, and like it just reminds you, like, God, you see me. So know there are people who want to support you. Be honest about your feelings and be honest with other people. Maybe it's hard for you to show up at the shower. Maybe mail a gift.
Wow.
Sometimes I had to do those certain seasons. There was one season I threw my sister a baby shower. I threw some friends a baby shower. And I remember there was one particular period I got, and somebody asked me to plan a shower. And it was a good friend, but not as close. I was like, I just can't right now. I just knew it just wasn't healthy for me. And I even had friends now still invite me because I feel another way now. You're treating me different. Leave the choice to come or not to come in my hands, but maybe you find other ways to celebrate people. Maybe you mail a car or bring food to people's houses after they've had a baby or things like that. So find out what's healthy for you, and if you're here, maybe that's not your struggle. I encourage you to be sensitive to people who are in the waiting room. Ask them how you can serve them in that season. Do they want invitations? Some people don't even invite me. So each person is different, but I know the invitations I already felt excluded and lonely, so the fact that someone would invite me, it just helped. So
when you went to those baby showers while you were in the waiting room, did you feel some kind of way where you were sitting there watching them celebrate this?
It depends on the time, and sometimes I was genuinely happy, and then sometimes other people have a story you just don't know.
That's true.
You see them pregnant and with their baby, but you don't know what they went through. And
That's
because I was open with people about what I was going through, I got a lot of prayer requests. So I had an opportunity to rejoice with people.
Okay.
And some they mourned with me too. And some like, I'm sorry, but this is the new. I'm like, it's okay. That's what we prayed for, right? Others have a story. We see them having these babies, but we don't know they may have had
that is so true.
Or things like that. So we can't hate on somebody else like, oh, they having we just don't know their story. So
That's
we
true.
Really
That's
have
good.
to check ourselves. So there was genuine excitement. Then sometimes there were those moments. Then it's like comparison, like, what's wrong with me? I'm not that. But usually, if I was at the shower, I was happy. I didn't have to
Okay. Wow.
trudge through it.
Cool. So you said find other people, be honest about where you are, find other people that can kind of feel your pain, if you will.
Right.
It's something about knowing that I'm not in this thing by myself. It's just something about that. It's just, it's huge. So that is good. So anything else you want to leave with families or people who are watching?
That God, He keeps His promises, and that He loves you no matter the outcome of your waiting room experience. Just leverage whatever season or situation you're in to just give Him the glory and just trust Him that you are loved. I think that's one of the things Satan tried to convince me to believe, that I was loved less somehow, and that's just a lie. So know that you are loved.
That is good. So tell us the great day when you went to the doctors. Look, both of us leaning in now. And you found out that you were pregnant.
Okay, well, it happened. It's interesting for us. What I didn't share is part of my story. I had to come to a point where I was open to different options to grow our family. Having the fibroids, which I learned later, it impeded my fertility. There were a lot of scar tissue. I had 3 surgeries.
Oh my! Oh wow!
And the fact that I still had a uterus was a miracle. And the number, even doctors would come back to me like, you lost that. We took out this many, over 50 fibroids or this or that.
Oh my.
Yeah, there were some tough surgeries, but God, He brought me through. So I went and we saw a fertility specialist just to see what was happening. I think it's smart just to find out what's going on with your body. If you're a woman or man, just find out what is the situation. So we found out that scar tissue was actually blocking my tubes. So we needed medical intervention, which for a time, like, God can do it. He's a miracle worker. That's something as a believer you're wrestling with. What do I do? And so eventually we prayed about it and we decided to do it. And having gone through that experience where we had 2 failed attempts, it even points to the fact that even when we seek medical intervention, if that's an option for you, God is still in control. So some time went on. We knew we could only attempt one more time. And I just didn't want to just wait of thinking you're pregnant and then hearing is not. I'm like, it just rips your heart apart. And I was like, I just don't. And Jermaine, again, he was sensitive. He kind of wanted to try again before me. One of the things I appreciate about him, he always told me he loved me and wanted me more than having a child. If having a child and losing me, he'd prefer to have me. And so we were away at a speaking engagement. God just opened it up. That opportunity, I was able to travel with him. And so we're praying one morning, and then God, he's like, put on my heart, like, okay, I'll try again, knowing like, this could be it. It doesn't happen. So we go through the process. And I remember I had some spotting, and this is again where community comes in. And I had partnered up with someone. She had this sisterhood call for women who were dealing with fibroids. And I remember calling her like, I'm spotting. I'm like crying. She started praying over me, singing over the phone. I'm like, Lord, how could you bring this burn? I'm bleeding. Granted, I didn't know that sometimes that's a good sign. Like the bleeding, like implantation bleeding or something like that. But I'm like, freaking out, like, Jesus, what are you doing? I'm like, crying. I'm like, no. So she's praising. I'm like, okay, let me get myself together. So we go in for the test. I remember a friend came over the house. Something happened where she felt that she needed to pray with me and give me hope, and she knew my journey. She was like, I do not want to prophesy.
Right.
That morning when she was like, that's her son. She came over and she prayed for me. So we get back, and again, there was a smaller group of people now who knew that we were having this and that I get the results. And I remember the nurse called, I did the test, and then it's like, Miss Jones, like, you could never tell the voice. I'm like, this is more bad. She's like, you're pregnant. I'm like, I'm pregnant. I think it hit your name first. He started crying. Every time I call my parents, I'm like, this is really, yeah. And then it was after this, went to pray. It was around the holidays, all those Christmases crying. I'm like, what, really? Okay. You paid attention to every detail. Pain, hurt, and all that.
That is so special.
We found out.
Wow. And so now you guys have a little girl.
Yes, a 3-year-old. Victoria Jones.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Interesting though.
Yeah.
It's funny, like right after that goes the print.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, God, his hand was in it. Like, even there were points, and it was an opportunity even to be salt and light in physician's office, because even going through treatment, you will hear it out there after a point, it's out of their hands. They don't even say it, it's out of their hands. So just encourage, if someone's wrestling with that, like, you have to hear from God. Some people, God's like, no, I got this. You yield to him. For some, he may put the option before you. So don't feel like you're less than a Christian or not walking in faith if it's an option that God gives you and you want to try it.
Cool.
And so how was it with the pregnancy, considering this is a miracle baby? How did you, like, were you scared the whole time? Like, how did that feel?
Yeah, because I
Now
still
going
had
9 months.
fibroids. Yeah, it was like high risk, and it was both beautiful and scary at the same time, and just for God. And she ended up coming earlier because the doctors, they were just watching, like, we don't want anything to happen. And the day she was born, which is another testimony, I almost died. That day, a lot of people went silent. I remember people on social media like, what happened? We aren't hearing. So she came, praise God. She was healthy, praise God. But I hemorrhaged a lot because, again, I had all these fibroids. And I also add, like, once he did, I'm like, he can do it again. We had neutral colored things. I'm like, ready for the next one, Lord. So it ended up, I lost so much blood. And I remember God giving me this moment. Jermaine didn't want to decide for me. And I saw a family member go down this path. They were like, we have to take your uterus or you're going to die. I'm like, what's happening? I lost like maybe over half my blood volume. They were like, the transfusion is keeping you alive. So in that
Oh, my.
moment, they took it. I was in a medically induced coma. Like, it was pretty bad. But God, He kept me. I was able to nurse my baby after all of that. Even had a pulmonary embolism.
Oh,
So,
my.
It was a lot.
Oh,
But
my.
God, he brought me through it all. And like, I was able not only to just carry a child, but like to mother the child. And so He kept His promise
Oh,
that
my.
I read in 2 Kings. I'm going to be a mom. And so,
It is good to see you.
I know.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes. And I
Talk
think,
about hope.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Boy, this is, if you're in the struggle right now, and again, your story may end different or look different, your route may be different, but just to hear how all the things you went through and then how faithful God is and that He took care of you. And then now you guys are caring for a toddler.
yes. Right. So now you know how to pray for us.
It's a toddler. Wow.
But
That
it's
is
so
something.
like I think even if you're not strong enough to say like in your faith, because sometimes I'm like this where I'm not strong enough to just say God is going to give me a child or give me a family.
Yeah.
I think like just hearing a story like this, I can at least kind of count out that I have faith in the negative. You know, because sometimes I like to cut it off. So I don't have to be wishy-washy about it and just say, it's not going to happen. I can't, it's never going to happen for me. Because then I don't have to hope and
That's
be
good.
on edge anymore. But I think like just hearing your story, I can just say, okay, well, at least I don't have to have faith in the negative. I can kind of tread the middle somehow. You know, even if I can't wholeheartedly just say, I'm going to have a family, I can just say, I'm going to not say.
Not saying, right. Yeah, all things are possible.
Yeah.
That is good.
So,
Wow.
So tell us again where we can find your book, The Waiting Room.
Okay, you can find it wherever you find me. You can also find it on Amazon.com. It's ebooks, Barnes and Nobles, iTunes, Apple Books, and Zulon Press. Or if you just go to my website, DafnetteJones.com, I have all the options there. That's DAFNETTE Jones.com. There's a link.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, this is
Thanks for
fabulous.
having me.
Yeah. Thank you guys for hanging with us too. And you can follow us at Chat and Chew Show on all the platforms. We obviously, you can see we do this in YouTube, so we're inviting you to go to YouTube and subscribe. So we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This show was brought to you by the Chat and Chew Company. Music by Elwood Jones. Lyrics by Roxanne. Bring a Chat and Chew live event to your organization. Contact us at chatandchewshow@gmail.com.